TGIF and happy Friday, members of the Altcoin Buzz army. All right, I'm going to straight up spoil this video and let you guys know that this is ultimately what we're going to wrap with, this news about what's being reported, the $6 trillion figure that's going to represent President Biden's stimulus plan, his new spending plan. It's all going to tie back into this. We're facing a choppy market today. Bitcoin is, for a couple of different reasons, acting fairly volatile. It all comes back to this. We're going to be discussing it at the end of the video. It's being covered by the likes of the Wall Street Journal, as you can see, CNBC, the New York Times, just about everybody. And there's no doubt about it that the market today is certainly expressing a lot of volatility. We're down now 6.4% on the day after what looked yesterday to be, a reasonably healthy market, a strengthening market. But unfortunately, Bitcoin down over 8%, Ethereum down 10% even. A lot of altcoins, unfortunately, shaking off some of those recent gains. It's too bad. It's unfortunate to see. Over the course of the next few months, the next few years, it's going to make absolutely no difference. It's going to be less than a blip on the radar. It'll be absolutely invisible in your rearview mirror. But, on a day like today, it's unfortunate on a Friday that we're down nearly double-digit percentages. We're going to discuss, I think, the primary reason behind this, at least you've no doubt heard about it, is this news that's being covered, that's being shared across crypto circles. The fact that you have over $2 billion in Bitcoin notional BTC options, which are expiring today. Bitcoin contango has returned. So this is something that you've probably seen, you've probably heard about. If you've not, and you're just looking at the market for the first time in a while, you're kind of scratching your head as to why this is happening. This is certainly one reason. Here on CoinDesk.com, Bitcoin options market faces smallest expiry of year, but it could still drive volatility. The so-called max pain for the May expiry is $50,000. As we just saw, we're well below that figure right now. Bitcoin trading just below $37,000. So quite a spread there between 37 and 50K. The Bitcoin options market is on track to record a modest monthly options expiry in the wake of the recent price crash, mainly because the cryptocurrency's price is so much lower. But there's still speculation some traders might try to use the moment to push prices as high as $50,000 to increase their payoff or minimize any payouts. That is entirely speculation on the part of this author, Omkar Godboli. So take that with a grain of salt. The May expiry expected early Friday would have been much higher had it not been for Bitcoin's recent drop from $58K to $30,000, which pricked the speculative bubble in the market. So major exchanges are due to settle 55,000, nearly 56,000 contracts worth over $2 billion today on Friday, based on data from provider Skew. And that makes the upcoming May expiry the smallest of 2021 in terms of nominal value. So that's one reason that we're seeing some volatility in terms of Bitcoin's price. With some perspective here, we have Bitcoin Archive on Twitter. A Bitcoin exchange traded node from Van Eck will list in Paris and Amsterdam on June 1st. Europe and Canada are leaving the USA behind. In other words, don't be spooked by what's happening now. Maybe you have exposure to those Bitcoin options. Maybe you don't. Maybe you couldn't care less about that kind of thing, and you're just kind of scratching your head as to why we're seeing the volatility that we're seeing. Going back to my point earlier about how it's not going to matter in a few months or a few years. This is a very optimistic outlook, in my opinion. You can see that on the whole, take the macro perspective, right? When in doubt, zoom out and realize the fact that on the whole, we're moving toward this infrastructural growth. So Europe and Canada, I don't know, maybe I wouldn't say leaving the USA behind just yet, because I think they have some things slow cooking in the background, but an exchange traded note from Van Eck. That's pretty good news in contrast to this futures expiry stuff, these options expiries that are kind of creating the volatility that we're seeing today. Also, Bitcoin Archive, SEC has commenced a formal review of 2 Bitcoin ETFs by none other than Fidelity and Skybridge. Very, very big names. And yet on a day, this is actually from yesterday, so less than 24 hours after this news was announced, we're seeing, unfortunately, a market retracement. It's almost sometimes counterfactual or counterintuitive what you see in this space versus the relatively positive news, because this, for many people, we'll get to that in just a sec, but this news about a Bitcoin ETF in some circles, to some people, is very much the holy grail of this space. And those are massive names. Fidelity Investments, one of the largest companies in the United States, and Skybridge. If that name sounds familiar, it's headed by Anthony Scaramucci. It's his hedge fund. Hedge fund, I think that's the characterization. His company, either way. Skybridge Capital. Very big news. And again, when in doubt, zoom out. Plan B at 100 trillion here, USD. Nobody who bought Bitcoin and hodled for 4+ years, or 200 weeks approximately, ever lost money. Ever. So if you're feeling shaken, if you're feeling, that on the higher resolution timeframes on the order of weeks or days, maybe you didn't fare so well, maybe you're a little bit bitter right now and a little bit jaded, realize that even if you bought at the peak, several years ago and you held on, over the course of 200 weeks or 4 years, everybody makes money in this space. And in my opinion, not financial advice, but those are the kind of time horizons that we have to keep in mind. Just my point of view. Crypto here with a pretty good observation. There is a new scam that we're alerting you guys to. We want to make sure you're aware of this scam. It's a new scam coin that's been identified. Get this. How many zeros is that? Billion to 27 trillion circulating supply. Unlimited maximum supply, 25% minted in the last 12 months alone, which is not good. Top 1% holds 30% of the supply. So, of course, we're talking about the US dollar. You're going to have a lot of naysayers come out now, and you're going to have a lot of the institutional machine kind of doubling down on the recent FUD that we've seen, especially now that people like Stanley Druckenmiller have come out talking about the shakiness of the US dollar and its potential reserve status in the next 10 years, the next 15 years. Ray Dalio coming out and he's saying that he would prefer Bitcoin to United States bonds. You're going to see a lot of people come out of the woodwork right now and defend what I tend to agree with Crypto here, and defend what many people would call a scam coin, the US dollar. All fiat currencies eventually revert to zero. That's inevitable over a long enough time horizon. And so before we get into a little bit of altcoin news, a little bit of updates from crypto.com and from Chainlink, I want to go back to this point here. What do you think is the impact of another $6 trillion in stimulus spending? Because as we saw just here, 27 trillion circulating supply, a quarter of which was minted in the last 12 months alone. Okay, well, now we can add to that $6 trillion. Considering, as Plan B pointed out, those 4-year time horizons, right? Those 4-year cycles, nobody has ever lost investing in Bitcoin across a 200-week time horizon. Can you say the same for the dollar? Where's the US dollar going to be in 4 years, in 8 years, in 12 years, in 16 years, in 20 years, 30 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now? Can any of you honestly, with confidence, tell me that, even if you're a dollar bull, maybe you have a mixed bag of investments and maybe you're a little bit optimistic about the dollar for one reason or another, can anybody out there honestly tell me that in 100 years' time, the dollar is going to be anywhere near its current value in terms of its spending power? I mean, this is a one-way street that we're going on now. And this latest proposed stimulus package, I think, only exacerbates the problems that we're already seeing. Don't be fooled. Inflation is much higher than what the CPI is suggesting. 4.2% is nothing. That doesn't account for most foods, most organic goods, groceries. That doesn't account for building materials like steel, like wood. Doesn't account for gasoline. Inflation is much higher than 4.2%. And the result of this kind of spending is that, number one, it's diminishing returns. It has less and less and less impact in terms of what it's trying to produce, i.e. a stimulus. And number two, it just adds to the overall deficit. It adds ultimately to inflation, which is only going to get worse in my humble opinion. You guys can read about this across all the different media outlets, CNBC as well. The New York Times is alerting me that I've reached my free limit of articles. Coincidentally, I've also reached my tolerance for New York Times reporting. So there you go. It works out. Guys, stay tuned. We're going to be giving away $50 of ETH in just a moment. I first wanted to update you with regard to a couple of announcements here. First from crypto.com. Looking into the future and looking across large enough time horizons as we are here in this video. That's kind of the theme a little bit of today's pontifications. Right now Bitcoin is 36, 37K. A lot of volatility due to the options, the futures, expiries. That sucks, but that ETF is coming. It's around the corner. ultimately in 4 years, probably much sooner than that, things are going to look very bright, despite the fact that they may look a little bit glum right now, I'll admit. But when in doubt, zoom out, buy the red, buy the dip. That's how truly significant amounts of wealth are produced over the long term. And I suppose with that mindset, crypto.com now is responding to a lot of the calls, a lot of the discussion that we've been seeing in this space with regard to green energy, with regard to sustainability and renewable resources, renewable energy. They had this announcement from yesterday. Crypto.com is committed to becoming carbon negative within the next 18 months. That's the next year and a half. Crypto.com and crypto.org chain users can rest assured that we're building a more sustainable future together. Details here are available on blog.crypto.com. Crypto.com's climate commitment. They announced an ambitious goal of becoming carbon negative within 18 months, and they're committing to offsetting more carbon than is generated by all activities across the organization through a multi-phased approach. And I know initially I was kind of saying, why are we pandering to the critics here? What's the point of it? And I guess the ideas have been marinating now for a few days, a couple of weeks even, and I think ultimately it's a very positive thing for those companies that are able to engage in these kinds of improvement protocols at the level of their emissions and their waste. This is going to make us bulletproof. This is going to make us rock hard, diamond hard bulletproof, just like carbon reinforced at a molecular lattice level. I don't think anybody's going to be able to touch companies like crypto.com after these sorts of initiatives. And the good news is that they're not saying, in 20 years we'll be carbon negative. 18 months. Things move quickly, of course, in cryptocurrency. And for the leading crypto companies and projects like crypto.com, if they have the will to do something, I think they're going to make it happen. That's awesome. Here's a quote. "The climate crisis is the most pressing issue of our life," said Chris Marcellik, co-founder and CEO of crypto.com. "Committing to becoming a carbon negative company is just the beginning of our efforts. As we further invest in building out the crypto.org chain ecosystem, we will offer the industry a path towards clean crypto." Good on him. I wish him luck. Kudos. And hopefully it sets a precedent and a new standard for this space. We continue to elevate. We continue to do good work. Finally, before our giveaway of $50 worth of Ethereum, we have this news from Chainlink, at Chainlink on Twitter. Prospect Now, a premium data provider in the real estate industry, has launched its own Chainlink node enabling hybrid smart contract apps that can price and settle markets using aggregate property and square footage prices with specific geographies. Wow. Chainlink just taken over the world. Kudos to Sergey and the team. That's great news. They're going to be slowly creeping into every aspect of society and commerce in a good way, right? And not to sound like malicious or whatever, malevolent, in a good way. Chainlink's going to take over real estate, and that is only just the beginning. All right, so here we are on the Altcoin Buzz news page. We're going to be giving away $50 worth of Ethereum. As a reminder, in order to be eligible, you have to like the videos, you got to subscribe to Altcoin Buzz News, and you got to comment with the letters ETH or the word Ethereum. Let's check out yesterday's video in which we talked about Polygon. We also talked about Binance's initiative to move into NFTs with their new platform that's beginning in, I think it's the 3rd or 4th week of June. So you guys are doing better on the likes, 113 likes. Still way too many comments for the amount of likes, though, 559 comments. I'm going to go ahead and take this video's URL. Then I go over to Raffle Dash here, YouTube Random Common Picker. As long as you basically aren't already a winner, and as long as you incorporate the letters ETH or the word Ethereum, that's all it takes to win. So potentially the winner of $50 worth of Ethereum is Oliver Smith. Yes, I do believe you qualify, sir. ETH. Hope this is just the calmness before the bull storm. I tend to agree with that. I think, if anything, the bull market has kind of been extended. It's been elongated. We've taken a little bit of a break to catch our breath. I don't necessarily foresee all-time highs across the board happening anymore, like in September, October, November even. I think this is going to carry over now into 2022. But, for a lot of different metrics that we've gotten into in the past, I won't regurgitate them here. I do feel like we're still relatively early and that we haven't peaked in this cycle of the bull market, if you want to call it that. I think we have higher highs to reach. I don't think we'll have to wait another 4 years to achieve new all-time highs, although we may have to wait another year. That's possible. Let me know what you think about Oliver about that, but you are the winner of $50 worth of ETH. Please, sir, respond to this comment that we're looking at right now with a comment that includes your Ethereum address to which you would like us to send you your winnings, $50 worth of Ethereum. Please respond with the same profile, which of course I check, and make sure that the address is correct. But congratulations, sir. It's just that easy. You guys may as well all enter into the contest because it's that simple. Again, like the video that you're watching. Number 2, subscribe to Altcoin Buzz News. And number 3, comment with the letters ETH or the word Ethereum. As always, guys, do be sure you're following us on all the regular social media channels. Keep checking back into our website, altcoinbuzz.io. Like, subscribe, share, hit the bell to receive notifications if you enjoyed today's video. None of this is financial advice, but I do wish you all the very best of luck if you choose to invest. Have a great Friday, members of the Altcoin Buzz Army. Great tail end to your week, a great start to your weekend. Stay safe. And as always, we do hope to see you again soon in our next video. Take care.